When you're 24, broke, and trying to outrun your past, you take whatever job you can find. That's how I ended up as the night receptionist at Whispering Pines Motel, nestled in the quiet backwoods of Vermont. It wasn't on any major route, and GPS always struggled to find it. That should have been my first red flag, but I was too desperate to be picky. The motel itself looked like something out of a postcard. Rustic pinewood cabins, a tiny office with a flickering neon vacancy sign, and a bell that jingled every time someone walked in. It sat just off an old country road, surrounded by trees so tall they blocked out the stars. It had charm, I'll admit. The kind of place you'd expect to find retired couples or weary travelers looking for a night's peace. But Whispering Pines had a reputation I only learned about later. It started like any other job. I showed up for the interview wearing my best, only button-down shirt and khakis. The manager, a pale, sharp-nosed woman named Mrs. Langley, didn't smile once during the interview. She barely looked at me. "You'll be working the night shift. Midnight to 8 a.m., no exceptions. You'll be alone. Don't leave the office unless absolutely necessary." I nodded. "No problem." She handed me a sheet of paper. At first, I thought it was a checklist or maybe instructions for how to use the old register, but it was titled in bold, "Night Shift Rules, Whispering Pines Motel." 1. Always lock the front door at 11:59 p.m. sharp. No exceptions. 2. If anyone knocks after midnight claiming to be a guest, do not let them in, no matter what they say. 3. Keep the lights on inside the lobby, but never turn on the outside porch light. 4. If the phone rings between 3:13 a.m. and 3:27 a.m., do not answer it. 5. You may hear footsteps on the roof between 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. Ignore them. Do not go outside. 6. If a guest checks out before dawn and their eyes appear foggy, do not acknowledge it. Smile and wish them well. 7. At 4:44 a.m., the power may flicker. That is normal. If it stays off, recite the provided prayer aloud from the red binder under the desk. 8. Do not, under any circumstances, enter cabin 6. 9. If you see someone in the mirror who is not in the room, do not react. Look away slowly. 10. When the sun rises, unlock the front door and resume normal operations. I blinked. Is this a joke? Mrs. Langley's expression didn't change. Do you want the job or not? I needed the money. I nodded. My first night was quiet, eerily so. After Mrs. Langley left, I locked the door at exactly 11:59 p.m., feeling silly and a little paranoid. The lobby had the creaky charm of an old hunting lodge, plaid chairs, a coffee machine that growled like an animal when you used it, and taxidermy staring at you from every wall. I tried to busy myself, organizing the guest log, wiping the counter. Only 4 guests were checked in. An elderly couple in cabin 2, a traveling salesman in cabin 4, and a single woman in cabin 7. Midnight came and went. No knocks, no strange noises. I rolled my eyes at the rules and turned on the ancient black and white TV in the corner. Snow. No signal. Just static. I shut it off. By 2:05 a.m., I was half dozing at the desk when I heard it. Soft, deliberate thuds on the roof above me. Just like the rule said. Footsteps. I sat frozen, heart pounding. It sounded like someone walking slowly, heel to toe, circling the rooftop above the office. Too calm for an animal. But it wasn't just the sound that got to me. It was the sensation. Like the air had gotten heavier, thicker. My ears buzzed faintly, like static in my head. I remembered the rule. Ignore them. Do not go outside. So I didn't. I sat still, staring at the front window, which reflected just enough of the room behind me to show if anything was moving. The steps continued for 5 minutes, then stopped as suddenly as they'd started. No one came down. No shadow passed by the window. Just silence again. At 3:19 a.m., the phone rang. I jumped, my hand flying to the receiver, but I stopped an inch away. Rule number 4. If the phone rings between 3:13 a.m. and 3:27 a.m., do not answer it. It kept ringing and ringing, old-fashioned, loud as hell, like it was screaming into the room, the kind of sound that eats into your nerves. I clutched the counter to stop myself from picking it up. After 7 rings, it stopped. The silence afterward was worse. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. From the phone. Not from the receiver. No, I wasn't holding it. The phone itself. Wet, heavy breathing, like someone was crouched under the desk, right by the wires. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. After a long minute, it stopped. By the time the clock struck 4:44 a.m., I decided that maybe this was some elaborate hazing ritual, a way to mess with the new guy. But then the lights flickered, buzzed, then died. The room plunged into darkness so thick it felt physical. I scrambled under the desk, found the red binder, flipped it open. A page was bookmarked with a black ribbon. It read, "In nomine silentiae spiritus non invocatur." It continued in a language I didn't recognize. Latin, maybe. I read the whole thing aloud. My voice trembled, cracked in the middle. Something scraped across the floor above me. The lights came back on, and everything looked normal again. Except the bell above the front door jingled. I stared at the locked door. It hadn't moved. No one was there. The bell jingled again, softly, like a warning. The office, bathed in pale gold, unlocked the front door. No sign anyone had been out there. No footprints in the gravel. No shadow waiting in the trees. I made it through my first night. When Mrs. Langley returned, I asked her, half laughing, if the whole rule sheet was some kind of initiation joke. She looked at me with the same blank expression. Most who ask that don't make it past the second night. Then she handed me a new page. Updated night shift rule. Addendum 11. If you hear someone whisper your name from the woods behind the motel, do not respond, even if it sounds like someone you know. Todd. 12. The woman in cabin 7 checked in alone. If you see her speaking to someone in her room, report it immediately. She left without saying another word. I stared at the new rules. My hand trembled, because last night, around 1 a.m., I'd looked out the lobby window toward cabin 7 and seen her sitting on the porch talking to someone. Someone I never saw leave. And I swear, she looked right at me and smiled. It's hard to explain the way fear creeps into your bones when you can't trust your own eyes. After that first night, I told myself I'd imagined it. Her smile, the shadow beside her, the whisper that didn't belong in this world. But lies can only hold back fear for so long, especially here. When I came in for my second shift, the sun was already dipping behind the tree line. The motel was quiet, too quiet. No children playing in the gravel lot, no idle chatter outside the cabins, just the sound of the wind in the pines. Mrs. Langley was waiting for me in the office. "Any incidents?" she asked, her voice flat as stone. I hesitated. "No." I don't know why I lied. Maybe it was pride. Maybe I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me scared. But part of me also didn't want to speak it out loud, as if naming it would give it life. She handed me a small clipboard. "Sign here, and remember, cabin 6 is off limits, no matter what." "Got it." "And cabin 7, she added. I froze. "What about it?" She just looked at me, cold, knowing. Then she left without another word. The lobby was exactly as I'd left it. Lights on, coffee machine hissing softly, the binder still beneath the desk. And of course, the rule sheet, now with 12 rules instead of 10. I locked the front door at exactly 11:59 p.m., hands shaking slightly. This time, I triple-checked it. The clock ticked to midnight. The air shifted. I know that sounds vague, but it was real. Something in the atmosphere changed. A pressure, like a weight pressing down from above. The room felt watched, the walls too close, the silence too still. At 12:17 a.m., I saw movement on the monitor connected to the external cabin cameras. Cabin 7. The woman, her name was listed as Miss Alina Crow, stood on her porch again, just like the night before. Still wearing that old-fashioned cream-colored nightgown, barefoot, arms limp at her sides. Her head was tilted slightly as if listening. But this time, I could see who she was talking to. A man, tall, in a suit, too tall. He stood just outside the range of the porch light. His features were shadowed, blurry, as if the camera couldn't quite capture him. They didn't speak out loud, just stood there, facing each other in perfect stillness. Then she reached out her hand, and he took it. I slammed the monitor off. Rule number 12 echoed in my head. The woman in cabin 7 checked in alone. If you see her speaking to someone in her room, report it immediately. But I didn't call Mrs. Langley. I didn't know what I would even say. Instead, I sat in silence, waiting, hoping it would end. At 2:09 a.m., the roof footsteps returned. This time, they were faster, pacing. I didn't move. But then, something new, knocking. Not at the front door, not at the windows, from inside. 3 slow knocks on the supply closet behind me. I turned, heart hammering. The closet was supposed to be locked. I kept the key on my belt. I stepped toward it, just a foot or two, when the knocking came again. Knock, knock. Rule number 2 screamed in my head. If anyone knocks after midnight claiming to be a guest, do not let them in. But this wasn't someone outside. I backed away, sat back down. The knocking stopped, but I heard breathing again, wet rattling, like someone dying just inches from the other side. I didn't move, not for a long time. At 3:16 a.m. the phone rang. I didn't reach for it this time, just sat and waited. It rang 4 times, stopped, then rang once more, then silence, and then a whisper from behind me. Daniel! I froze. No one had called me by name. I hadn't told anyone. The whisper came again, soft, syrupy. Daniel, open the door. I refused to turn around. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Whatever is trying to get your attention here feeds off your curiosity, off your fear. So I stared straight ahead, repeating in my mind, I am not here. I am not listening. Eventually, the whisper faded. At 4:23 a.m., something knocked on the front door. Not at midnight. That made it worse. I approached slowly. The porch was empty. No car in the gravel lot. Just the trees swaying under a dark sky. Another knock, harder this time. Let me in, a voice said, muffled. It was a man, calm, polite. I'm lost, he added. Cold. I didn't respond. He knocked again. Please, I saw the vacancy sign. I glanced over. The sign wasn't even plugged in. Then I saw his face. He was bent low, peering through the bottom of the glass pane, smiling. But the smile didn't reach his eyes. They were milky white, foggy. Rule number 6, if a guest checks out before dawn and their eyes appear foggy, but he hadn't checked in, at least not that I knew. He tilted his head. Daniel. That was enough for me. I backed away. Lights flickered. I grabbed the red binder and read the prayer again, voice shaking. The lights surged and stayed on. The man was gone. At 5:04 a.m., I checked the monitors again. Cabin 7's porch was empty, but the door was wide open. I zoomed in. Nothing moved inside. No shadows, no figure. Just the open door swaying gently in the wind. I should have called Mrs. Langley. I should have done something. But instead I watched, and then something stepped out of the cabin. Not Alina. Not the man in the suit. Something wrong. It moved like a marionette, jerky and slow, with arms too long, head bobbing on a crooked neck. It stepped off the porch and began walking toward the woods behind the motel. I followed its progress across the cameras, flipping feeds like a madman. And then I saw her, Alina Crow, standing perfectly still in the trees, waiting for it. When it reached her, it crawled up her back like a child, wrapped itself around her, and vanished. She turned slowly toward the camera and smiled. When the sun rose, I unlocked the front door. The air felt fresher, cleaner, like nothing had ever happened. At 8:02 a.m., Alina Crow checked out. She looked different, more awake somehow, more aware. Her eyes weren't foggy, but they were deep, endless. She handed me the key to cabin 7 and said, "Thank you. I had a lovely stay." Then she leaned in almost like a kiss. "Be careful tonight," she whispered. "The man in the suit is growing impatient." I didn't respond. I couldn't. She walked out without another word. And as her car drove away, I saw something move in the back seat. A silhouette. Tall, still, too tall. That evening before my third shift, Mrs. Langley left a new rule on the counter. Rule number 13. If cabin 7 is empty and the door opens on its own, do not look inside, no matter what you hear. She didn't even stay to explain. I'm starting to think I'll never get an explanation. Only more rules and worse things to come. By the time my third night shift rolled around, I stopped expecting to understand anything about Whispering Pines. I stopped asking questions. I followed the rules. I watched the clock. And I prayed, quietly and to whatever would listen, that I'd make it through the night without hearing my name whispered again. When I stepped into the lobby that night, I noticed something strange immediately. The temperature. The air was warm and thick, like someone had just exhaled into the room. It smelled faintly of copper, of soil, of something old. Mrs. Langley wasn't waiting for me this time. Just a note on the counter. Cabin 4 has requested a late checkout. Do not disturb them, even if you hear voices. Rule sheet has been updated. I flipped to the rule sheet, dreading what I'd see. There it was, freshly typed and stapled. Rule number 14. If cabin 6 begins to emit a humming noise, leave the office and stand by the vending machine for exactly 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Do not look toward the cabin. Do not listen. Do not think about what it's singing. I laughed because what else was there to do? But I didn't feel like laughing long, because when I sat down at the desk, the monitor for cabin 6 flickered on, and the porch light, one I knew hadn't worked since the 80s, was glowing softly. I'll tell you the truth about cabin 6. It doesn't exist on the guest register. No one ever checks into it. The keys are gone, the door is nailed shut from the inside, and the windows are boarded up. When I asked Mrs. Langley about it on my first day, she just said some doors were never meant to open. But that night, at 1:27 a.m., I heard something. A soft, steady hum, low and mournful. It rose and fell like breath, like something in that cabin was inhaling slowly and then exhaling music. I felt it in my teeth, in my ribs. I stumbled outside, following the instructions. The vending machine was out by the tree line, old and rusted, with buttons that stuck and snacks that looked 2 years expired. I stood beside it, glancing at my phone. 4 minutes, 44 seconds. It felt like an eternity. Behind me, I heard the hum grow louder. Then it turned into a melody, a lullaby. Familiar. My mother used to sing it when I was sick. I nearly turned around, but I didn't. When the timer ended, the humming stopped, just like that. I walked back to the office, shaking, sweating, and I saw the front door standing wide open. Inside, nothing was out of place, except the mirror behind the front desk. There was a handprint on it, not mine, much too large, too long, 5 fingers, no thumb, and the surface of the glass was fogged, like someone had breathed on it. I wiped it clean. My hand came away damp. I didn't look in the mirror after that. At 2:40 a.m., Cabin 4's camera went black. It had been glitchy all night, the image fuzzy, but now it was just static. I tried to adjust the feed. Nothing worked. Then I noticed something. The voices, faint, from far down the gravel lot. I opened the front door and listened. "Don't forget your face," one voice whispered. "It doesn't belong to you anymore," another answered. They were coming from Cabin 4. I remembered the note. "Do not disturb them, even if you hear voices." So I shut the door, and I locked it. At 3:15 a.m., the phone rang. Same window, same rule. I didn't answer. But this time, the line didn't go silent. Instead, a message played on the answering machine. I didn't even know the damn thing worked. A man's voice, calm, crisp, no emotion. "Hello, Daniel. We've been watching you." A pause. "You're doing well, better than most." Another pause. "You'll be tested tonight. Don't fail." Click. That was it. No number, no recording logged. Just my name, just the threat. At 4:12 a.m., I heard it, breathing, from inside Cabin 6. Deep, labored, rhythmic. It was no longer humming. It was alive. The camera feed showed nothing, just static again, but the audio had somehow turned on. I didn't even know that was possible. A low growl buzzed through the speaker. Then, a voice. It didn't speak in English. It didn't speak in any human language, but I understood it. Every word. It said, "You opened the door in your heart. Now I have a key." And then, silence. When the power flickered at 4:44 a.m., I was already clutching the red binder. I read the prayer with more desperation this time. My voice cracked. My knees shook. When the lights came back, I thought I was safe, until the closet door behind me creaked open. Just a crack. I didn't go near it. I didn't need to. Something tapped from inside. 3 times. Then silence and a whisper, barely audible, curling out like steam. "Don't forget your face." At dawn, the light returned, washing the lobby in pale gold. I unlocked the front door, just like always. But this time, something was waiting outside. A box, plain, wooden, wrapped in twine. No note, no markings. I left it alone. I waited for Mrs. Langley. When she arrived, she saw the box and nodded. "Don't touch it." "What is it?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she handed me another sheet. "Rule number 15, if a package arrives with no return address, leave it outside. If it disappears before sunrise, do not look for it. If it's still there, burn it." I looked out. The box was gone. Before she left, she said something that chilled me more than anything else. "You've been marked now." "Marked?" I asked. Her expression was blank, but her voice was tired. "They like you. The ones that hum, the ones behind the mirror. They're paying attention." "What do they want?" "They don't want anything," she said. "They're not people. They're not spirits. They're rules given flesh. And you've broken one, Daniel." I froze. "Which one?" She didn't answer, just walked away. That night, I found a new rule waiting for me at the desk. Typed, clean, calm. Rule number 16, you will be tempted to enter Cabin 6. You may even find a key. Do not use it. Do not open the door. If you do, there is no rule that can save you. And taped to the bottom of the note was a brass key, tagged Cabin 6. It was warm to the touch, and it pulsed like it was alive. By now, sleep is more of a memory than a habit. Every time I shut my eyes, I see it. Cabin 6 breathing in the dark, the key pulsing in my hand, and that mirror behind the desk with its foggy handprint. I stopped asking for answers. I know there aren't any, just rules and punishment. Mrs. Langley didn't speak to me before my fourth shift. She just left the keys, the clipboard, and another rule sheet, now numbered through rule number 18. That's right, 2 new ones. Rule number 17, if your reflection smiles when you aren't smiling, cover the mirror with the motel towel. Do not speak to it. Do not listen. Rule number 18, if you hear tapping from the ice machine at 3:33 a.m., do not approach it. Do not acknowledge it. Someone inside will try to make a deal. Say nothing. The rules were becoming more personal and more desperate. I clocked in, flipped on the security monitors, and checked the porch cameras. Nothing unusual. Cabin 4 still had the blinds drawn tight. Cabin 7 was empty now, though I caught myself glancing at it more than once, expecting Alina to walk out smiling like before. She never did. Cabin 6, however, had its porch light on again, faintly flickering, like a dying star refusing to go out. I put the key in my pocket without thinking. It was ice cold now, like it wanted to punish me for thinking about using it. At 12:41 a.m., I caught movement in the mirror behind the desk. I wasn't looking directly at it. I was watching the monitors when I saw something blur behind me in the reflection. A shape. Tall. Still. I turned. No one there. But the mirror didn't change. In it, I was still sitting, still facing the screens, still typing, still smiling. But I wasn't smiling. My real mouth was shut tight. My reflection was grinning from ear to ear. Slowly, it turned toward me. Even though I hadn't moved, its lips moved, silently at first. Then it whispered from the glass, "Daniel." I snatched one of the motel towels and flung it over the mirror. The whispering stopped instantly. The air dropped 20 degrees. My reflection was still under there. Still smiling, probably. Still waiting. At 1:58 a.m., a guest tried to check in, only no one was outside. The bell at the front desk rang, twice, soft and deliberate. I peered through the blinds. No headlights, no footsteps in the gravel, no shadows at the porch, just the wind. Then the bell rang again, and again, each time louder, sharper. The sound drilled into my skull. I grabbed the rule sheet, flipped through frantically. No rule about phantom guests at the desk. That scared me more than anything. If there was no rule for it, there was no protection, no guidance, just me. I placed the red binder on the counter and opened to the emergency section. There in old yellowed paper was a handwritten note in pen. If something seeks entry without form, do not invite it. Speak no words. It thrives on permission. So I sat, silent. The bell rang, and then silence. The binder slammed shut on its own. I didn't breathe for a minute straight. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the ice machine started to rattle. The old beast sat just outside the lobby on the patio. Half its front was rust, and it hadn't worked in years. Yet there it was, rumbling, clicking, and then tapping, light and quick, like fingers from the inside. I didn't move, didn't look. I just stared at the clock. It tapped again and again. Then a voice, muffled, came from it. "Daniel, I can give it back." I didn't respond. It hissed, snake-like. "I can take it away." Silence. "I can unlock cabin 6. That one almost made me turn. But I didn't. The tapping faded. The ice machine stilled. The temperature rose. By 4:09 a.m., the mirror began laughing. That was new. A low chuckle, wet and cruel, leaked from beneath the towel. Something about it reminded me of my father, years ago, on the night he died. That same rattle in the throat. That same final breath. I ignored it, tried to read the guest log, tried to sip cold coffee, tried to pretend. Then the towel slid to the floor, by itself. The mirror was clear again, but I wasn't in it. Something else stood where I should have been, tall, twisted. Its face, my face, stretched too wide. It grinned and held something out in its reflection hand, the cabin 6 key. But my real hand? Empty. The reflection cocked its head and whispered, "Come in. It's so much better inside." I dropped my gaze, rushed into the bathroom and shut the door. I stayed in there for 40 minutes, and even in that windowless little room, I heard the laugh. When I came back out, the mirror was covered again, and the key still in my pocket. But now it was warm again, like it knew I'd almost broken. Before dawn, I dared peek at the red binder again, hoping for answers. I found something tucked deep in the back pocket. A photo, old, black and white, faded, Mrs. Langley, much younger, standing outside cabin 6, beside a man in a suit. Not just any man, the man in the suit. His face was blurry, his eyes completely white. They were holding hands. On the back of the photo, in neat handwriting, to Mabel, remember the rules. Love doesn't listen. I put the photo back. And I didn't speak to Mrs. Langley that morning. She didn't speak to me either. She only handed me another typed slip of paper before she left. Rule number 19. If your name is written in the guest log and you don't remember writing it, burn the page. Quickly. I looked at the log, scrolled back, and found my name. Written 3 times, each in different handwriting. One had a child's scrawl. One was angry, all capital letters. The last was elegant, scripted, like a signature from someone long dead. I tore the page out and lit it over the sink in the lobby bathroom. It screamed. Yes, screamed, like flesh burning. The flames turned blue, then black, then nothing. Now there are burn marks on the sink that won't scrub off. They look like fingerprints. Too long, too wide, not human. Just like the thing in the mirror. Just like the man behind the rules. I'm starting to think there is no end to them. No end to the rules, or the guests, or the things pretending to be guests. Only more shifts, more keys, and one cabin door waiting to be opened. The 5th night shift started before the sun had even fully set. A blood-orange dusk stretched over the tree line as I approached the lobby, and I swear the shadows looked longer, reaching for the motel like fingers. The gravel crunched louder under my boots. The porch light flickered twice, and I could feel the building watching me, waiting. Mrs. Langley was inside, as usual, but she didn't greet me this time. She just handed me the clipboard and stared. I added rule number 20, she said. Stick to it, no matter what he says. I read it before she left. Rule number 20, if the guest in room 9 asks for your name, do not tell him. Do not answer any of his questions. Do not acknowledge him at all. Not even once. Is there someone in room 9? I asked. Mrs. Langley didn't blink. There will be. And then she walked out, not another word. Room 9 was supposed to be condemned. The floor caved in a few years back after a storm. The roof leaked, mold, rot, the works. No one was allowed to check in, and the door had been boarded shut. So why was there a key on the rack now? Tagged cleanly, room 9. I didn't touch it. Not yet. The lobby was thick with tension, like a coiled spring. The lights buzzed too loudly. The mirror, thankfully still covered, dripped with condensation again, even though the air was cold. The ice machine outside remained still. But at 11:11 p.m., the bell rang. Softly, once, twice, 3 times. When I looked up, someone was standing at the desk. I hadn't heard the door open. He was pale, unnaturally so, like skin stretched over something that wanted to be human. Dressed in a faded suit. No shoes, no luggage, and no reflection in the lobby glass. I'm in room 9, he said, smiling faintly. There's a problem with the bed. I said nothing. His smile widened. Too many teeth now. Too perfect. I asked nicely, he said, tone still polite but pressured. Do you know my name? I kept my mouth shut. You do, he whispered. I can smell it on your tongue. The lights above us dimmed, and in the mirror behind the towel, something began tapping. He leaned forward, pressing both hands on the counter, his fingernails longer than they should be. I'll ask just once more, he hissed. What is your name? I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled open the red binder and flipped to the oldest section. At the bottom of a page, handwritten in the same scrawled pen as before, was an annotation. The guest in room 9 will become what you fear. The less you speak, the less it knows. I slammed the binder shut and backed away. Room 9 just stared. And then it changed. His face warped, slowly, deliberately. His eyes turned black, no whites left. His lips peeled back, revealing rows of thin, needle-like teeth. His jaw unhinged, and his voice became my mother's. Danny, sweetheart, it's cold in here. Why won't you look at me? I nearly broke. I nearly screamed. But I didn't. I turned, walked into the back room, locked the door, and whispered prayers I didn't even know I remembered. At 12:44 a.m., I dared peek at the monitor. Room 9's camera had switched on, even though it wasn't wired in. Static gave way to a clear image. The guest sat in a wooden chair by the window, staring at the screen. straight into the lens. His mouth moved, but the speakers didn't pick it up. Then he smiled and pointed upward. I looked above me. Nothing. But then I heard it, crawling, inside the ceiling. The thing that wore my mother's voice was inside the walls. At 1:33 a.m., the front door slammed open on its own. Wind poured in, though the air outside was dead still. And on the threshold just outside the door, the cabin 6 key. It hadn't been in my pocket. It had vanished after the last shift. Now it sat there, upright, humming faintly, beckoning. I didn't touch it, but I couldn't stop staring. Then the guest in room 9 spoke again, this time from every direction at once. "I'll take the key, Daniel. I'll open the door. All you have to do is speak." I shut the lobby door, locked every bolt, and sat behind the desk with the binder in my lap. The pages were warm, like something inside the book was alive now, too. 2:15 a.m., another note slid under the front door. Not delivered by hand, no knock, no footsteps, just peered. I opened it. Plain, torn paper, typewritten. "He knows your fear now," the mirror told him. I looked at the towel. It was gone. The mirror was bare, and I wasn't in it anymore. Instead, room 9 was, smiling. By 3:30 a.m., the phone began ringing again. This time it didn't stop. The answering machine refused to pick it up. It just rang and rang and rang. I almost picked it up, but then I heard it. Footsteps on the roof, heavy, wet. Something was above me, moving slow, deliberate, dragging. The lights went out. Only the emergency exit sign cast a red glow across the room. Then the voice returned. Not from the mirror, not from the guest, but from cabin 6. Every speaker crackled to life, and the voice was all of them at once. Room 9, the mirror, the ice machine, the phone, my father, my mother, even Alina's sweet, terrified voice. "Open the door, Daniel," they whispered. "Let us finish what you started." At 4 a.m., the power came back. Room 9's monitor turned black. The key was gone. The mirror was covered again, this time by something not mine, a sheet of old newspaper I'd never seen before. Mrs. Langley arrived 5 minutes before sunrise. She looked at me, eyes red, skin pale. "You survived," she said flatly. I didn't respond. Couldn't. My voice was gone, from silence, from fear, from resisting. She nodded. "You're ready for the last rule." And then she handed me the final slip of paper. Not typed, not printed, written in ink that shimmered red when it caught the light. Rule number 21. If the door to cabin 6 ever unlocks, do not open it. Do not look inside. Do not speak to what is waiting. Lock it again and run. There was a key taped to the paper, different than before, darker, slick with something wet, engraved on the handle in jagged symbols I couldn't read. "Welcome back." I almost didn't come back. After what happened with room 9, after hearing my name in too many voices, after staring into a mirror that no longer showed me, I wanted to quit. I wanted to walk away, leave Whispering Pines behind, let someone else suffer. But I couldn't, because the key was in my coat pocket when I woke up. And it was wet. It didn't matter that I never took it home. It found me. When I stepped out of bed that morning, my bare foot landed in a small puddle of black water. There was a note scrawled on my bedroom mirror in steam. "You're already inside." I knew then I didn't work for the motel anymore. I belonged to it. Night fell faster than usual. No sun. Just a long red smear along the horizon like a bleeding wound. When I got to the motel, Mrs. Langley wasn't there. No keys on the wall. No clipboard. No rules. Only the red binder sitting open on the front desk turned to a page I had never seen before. At the top, in red ink, final instructions, should cabin 6 open. The rest was unreadable. The ink bled across the page like it was alive, forming grotesque shapes that shifted every time I blinked. I slammed the binder shut, and then I heard it. The click, the unmistakable sound of a door unlocking. Outside, cabin 6. I looked at the monitor. It was online again. Though the camera was ancient, the feed was perfectly clear now, too clear. Cabin 6's door stood open just an inch, enough to see inside. Enough to see a hallway that shouldn't have existed. A hallway lined with dozens of mirrors. And something was walking toward the door. Slow, rhythmic, limping. The screen went black. Then the ice machine began to rattle, and the mirror behind the desk cracked, just once, like something inside was straining to come out. 3 a.m. The motel felt like it was holding its breath. No guests, no calls, just silence. And the key in my pocket, which had begun to pulse with heat. It was humming now, a low musical tone like a music box slowing down. Every part of me screamed to run, but my feet moved anyway. Out the door, across the gravel lot, to cabin 6. The door was wide open now. The hallway of mirrors inside stretched far beyond the physical dimensions of the building, like stepping into another reality, a reality that had been waiting for me. I stepped inside. Instantly, I couldn't hear the wind anymore. The air was warm and humid, and the mirrors on either side of me reflected wrong. They didn't show my movements. Some showed me still. Others showed something else entirely. Figures in my shape, but smiling or melting or whispering things I couldn't hear. One mirror showed a version of me hanging from the motel sign, eyes black, a note pinned to my chest. He opened the door. I turned to leave. The cabin door slammed shut. There was no knob on the inside, only a mirror, floor to ceiling. And in it, her, Alina, pale, weeping, eyes wide. "Danny," she whispered, "you have to help me. He took me here." I stepped closer. "No," I said, "you're not real." She screamed, a shriek so high-pitched it shattered the mirror. Behind it was another hallway, another version of cabin 6. This one had doors. Dozens of them, all marked with names. I walked past the first 3, Mabel Langley, Jonathan Stone, Alina Storm, and then mine. I stopped. The door throbbed like a heartbeat. Before I could think, it opened. Inside there was only a chair and a mirror, and me, already sitting, grinning. "Finally," it said, "we've been waiting." I backed away. The door slammed, and the hallway began to collapse. Mirrors cracked. Glass exploded in slow motion. From the end of the corridor, something emerged. Tall, faceless, wearing a name tag that simply read "Guest." It pointed at me, and every mirror whispered in unison, "Finish the shift." I ran. Back through the mirrors, back down the impossible hallway, back into the original cabin. The front door was closed, but this time the knob was there. I turned it. It wouldn't budge. "Please," I whispered. The red binder appeared in my hand. Open. One line scrawled across the center of a blank page. "Only the receptionist may check out the guests." It clicked in my head. I had to lock the cabin. All of them, one by one. The mirrors, the rooms, even room 9, even Alina. I would have to trap them all inside. I would have to be the one to do it. When I woke up, I was behind the desk. The morning sun bled through the blinds. Mrs. Langley was gone. No sign of her car, no note, just the key rack. Every hook full again, all but one. Cabin 6. It was empty, except for one tiny scrap of paper taped beneath it. "Daniel Keene, that was 3 nights ago. I'm not just the receptionist anymore. I keep the keys now. I write the rules. The red binder, it writes itself in my handwriting. The phone rings at the same time each night. The ice machine taps. The mirror laughs. The guests come. They all check in, but no one ever checks out. And sometimes, when I sleep for a few minutes in the back office, I dream of someone else taking my place, of a new name written in the binder, of someone unlocking my door. Until then, I keep the lights on. I follow the rules, and I wait, because cabin 6 is open again. And the shift never ends.